Salveta. Today we're going to talk about adjectives. First of all, let's take a look at adjectives and how they function in English. First of all, we know that what adjectives do is that they modify nouns. Usually, they're placed before those nouns. For example, we would say the green apple, not the apple green in normal prose. Also, we know that adjectives in English don't change number. That is, they don't change whether they're singular or plural. For example, we would say the green house, and we would still say the green houses, not greens houses. The adjective green doesn't change just because the noun house does. Let's now think about how they function in Spanish. Now, in Spanish, you may have heard of the word amigo, which means friend. Now, if we looked at the plural of amigo in Spanish, it would be amigos. There's also an adjective which means good, bueno. If we wanted to say the good friend, we would then say bueno amigo. However, in Spanish, what adjectives are going to do is that they are going to change their form based upon the number, that is singular or plural, based upon the number of the noun which they're describing. So if amigos is then plural, then we also have to make buenos plural. So the singular bueno amigo, plural, buenos amigos. Adjectives in Spanish are going to have to agree with the nouns they modify in number. Then, adjectives in Spanish are also going to have to match their nouns in gender. So for instance, an amigo is a male friend, but an amiga is a female friend. So, when we add an adjective to it, we wouldn't say the good friend, if we're using the feminine, as bueno amiga. Instead, we have to change the form of that adjective to buena amiga. Now, they match in gender. If we were to change the number as well, then now we would get buenas amigas. So adjectives in Spanish have to match their nouns in number and in gender. Now this is helpful for us to look at because Spanish is descended from Latin, and so these qualities will also be present in Latin. Adjectives in Latin will have to agree with or match their nouns in number, just like in Spanish, in gender, just like in Spanish, and also in that third quality of nouns, case. So the question is, how do you know which endings to use on the adjective? If we have a masculine noun, then the masculine adjective which modifies it will have to take from the second declension masculine pattern, the us, e, o pattern. If we have a feminine noun, then we're going to use the first declension a, I, pattern for the adjective which modifies it. And if we have a neuter noun, then we are going to use the second declension e, o pattern to modify that neuter noun. So for instance, a good boy would be bonus puer. Since puer is masculine, the adjective which modifies it is going to use that second declension masculine ending, us. For a good girl, since puella is feminine, then the adjective which modifies it is going to draw its endings from the first declension, and so it would be a bona puella. And if we had the phrase good gift, then since donum is neuter, the adjective which describes it would also have to use a neuter ending, bonum, from the second declension. So we can see here how each adjective agrees with the noun it's modifying in gender. Furthermore, each adjective must agree with its noun in number as well. So if we said the good boys, we wouldn't use bonus pueri anymore, but boni pueri, both the adjective and the noun now in the plural. If we said the good girls, we would use boni puellae. Once again, both the noun and the adjective in the plural. And if we want to say the good gifts, we would use bona dona in the plural neuter. Finally, we know that adjectives also must agree with the nouns they modify in case. So for instance, if we had the accusative noun puerum, we would need its adjective to also be accusative, singular, and masculine, bonum. So let's try to decline good boy. We're going to have to set up a twice as wide chart this time so that it can fit the words both bonus and puer in it. So we would start out with bonus puer, a good boy. Then, going down the left side, we would have to switch to the genitive, and we would attach the I ending to it instead, so we would get boni pueri. See if you can complete the rest of this chart on your own. If you did it correctly, we should have gotten in the left-hand singular column, bonus puer, boni pueri, bono puero, bonum puerum, bono puero. In the right-hand column, that would leave us with boni pueri, bonorum puerorum, bonis pueris, bonos pueros, bonis pueris. Let's try again with the phrase good girl. Once again, set up your extra wide chart and then start with the phrase bona puella. Pause and see if you can fill out this chart the rest of the way on your own. If you filled that out correctly, you should have gotten bona puella, boni puellae, boni puellae, bonum puellam, bona puella. In the plural, boni puellae, bonarum puellarum, bonis puellis, bonas puellas, bonis puellis. Let's try once more with the phrase good gift. Start off with the phrase bonum donum. Then pause the video and see if you can do it on your own. If you filled in the chart correctly, you should have gotten bonum donum, boni doni, bono dono, bonum donum, bono dono. As a side note, this is why the Romans thought that rhyming was a little silly, childish, and a bit too easy. In the plural, you should have gotten bona dona, bonorum donorum, bonis donis, bona dona, bonis donis. We'll practice this more in class when we see each other next. Waleta!